John James.
Hey, welcome. Seems to be a little bit of a lag here in the feed. I don't know what's going on there. I guess we're okay now. It almost looks like a poorly dubbed movie to me. Hello. Is my mouth going with the video? I guess it is now. Pretty close anyway. I don't know. It's 9:17 here on Legacy 1160 WSKW. I should have restarted the feed is what I should have done, and I did not. I assumed, there we go. I think we're good. Okay. I guess we're back up now. I don't know how long that'll last. We've got a 9:17 here on Legacy 1160 WSKW. Today's the big day. Amy Coney Barrett is going to be questioned in the halls of Congress. And we're looking for maybe a seat on the Supreme Court before the election. I think that would be pretty good, huh? So we'll cover that a little bit, and we'll cover a lot more stuff that is going on, has gone on over the weekend, where we stand right now, and what we're up against. That's what we're all about here. Your pep rally for freedom is on the air. Let's do what we always do to start the day out. Today in history, it's October 12th. This is the Associated Press.
October 12th, 1492. On this date, under the old-style calendar, explorer Christopher Columbus lands in the Americas. Columbus, sailing under Spain's banner, traveled across the Atlantic trying to seek a route to Asia. His arrival in the Caribbean leads to Europe's colonization of the Western Hemisphere. 2000. In the Persian Gulf, suicide bombers strike the USS Cole, docked in Yemen's port of Aden. They rammed the Cole with their boat filled with explosives, killing 17 American sailors aboard the destroyer. Osama bin Laden's al-Qaeda network is blamed for the attack, nearly a year before the September 11th attacks. 1960. Political theater during the Cold War at the United Nations in New York. Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev disrupts the UN General Assembly by pounding his desk with a shoe when a speaker criticizes his country. 2002. Terror strikes the Indonesian island of Bali. That's where a bomb blamed on Islamic militants destroys a nightclub, killing 202 people, many of them foreign tourists. 1935. Luciano Pavarotti, considered one of the greatest opera stars of modern times, is born in Modena, Italy. And 1997. Rocky Mountain High. Singer John Denver dies when his privately built aircraft crashes in Monterey Bay, California. He was 53 years old. Today in history, October 12th. Tim McGuire, The Associated Press.
Yeah, no, I'm well aware we're on. I Thanks for the heads up. I've got a little hearing left. I can hear the music. It's 9:20 on Legacy 1160 WSKW. Good morning. I'm John James, and happy Columbus Day to you. Everybody who's working hopefully gets extra pay. It's a holiday, right? The government does. Government employees who have to work get extra pay. I know that for a fact. Well, you should too. Can be out celebrating Columbus, eating Columbus favorites like pizza and spaghetti and meatballs. Those are Italian dishes, right? Columbus was an Italian. So it was the Italian holiday, for crying out loud. It's for the Italian people. Not going to ignore Columbus Day. No sports tonight. Tomorrow we've got Lawrence at Messalonski girls soccer at 7:00 with Mike Violet under the lights in Fairfield. No, Oakland. Sorry. I got Lawrence and Messalonski messed up there a little bit, didn't I? Tomorrow night at 7:00, girls soccer at Messalonski. And it is going to be Lawrence will play at Messalonski. All right, we got 22 past 9:00 right now. And let's get right into it. Liz Peek did a nice article. She writes for Fox News, and it's called Trump versus Kamala Harris. Here's how Pelosi blunder helps reelect president. And I've got to tell you, I don't see the polls as being correct. Maybe they're indicative of the people they polled, but I've got a feeling moves like Nancy Pelosi has been making are going to help Donald Trump in a big way. I'll read you a little bit of this piece by Liz Peek here. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has stepped in it again. With yet another ill-considered political stunt, she has stirred up President Trump's base like someone poking a hive of angry hornets, and at the same time put a spotlight on Kamala Harris. Neither helps the Democrats. With much fanfare, Pelosi introduced a bill that would facilitate removing a president from office should a bipartisan group of legislators agree that he or she was no longer capable of carrying out the duties of his or her position. She proposed the new legislation to highlight her concern that President Trump's recent bout with COVID-19, for which he was prescribed steroids, had resulted in some impairment of judgment. He sounded pretty lucid to me. Didn't sound any different to me. But she knows him better than I do, I guess. Or she thinks she does. The bill, which formalizes a remedy allowed by the 25th Amendment to the Constitution, will go nowhere in a GOP-led Senate. The grandstanding move was intended to deflect from Pelosi's failure to pass a stimulus bill and highlight Trump's supposedly erratic personality and decision-making. This is the campaign Democrats have chosen to run. Not about issues or policy. It's all about Trump. But Pelosi's move backfired. President Trump hinted that the bill's real purpose was to make it simpler for Democrats to shove Joe Biden aside, should he win in November, and replace him with his running mate, Senator Kamala Harris of California. Of course. She said herself, Nancy Pelosi said, this isn't about President Trump. Was it or wasn't it? Who knows? Who knows what's in that evil mind? I mean, greasing the skids, I'd say. She knows she couldn't get anywhere with that during this administration with a Senate majority for Republicans. She knows she couldn't. However, if Joe Biden is elected, be pretty easy to show that he's incapable of commanding the office of president, right? Right? 'Cause, 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 It was when Uncle Joe was still cowering in his basement. Now that more people have seen the Democratic candidate out on the stump, the conviction that Biden might not be able to serve out 4 years in office has only grown. A Rasmussen poll from August showed 59% of likely U.S. voters believe it's likely Biden's running mate will be president before the end of Biden's 4-year term. So is it any wonder Kamala Harris has forgotten about Tara Reade, has forgotten about everything she accused Joe Biden of, has forgotten it? It's like selective memory all of a sudden. Joe is pure as the driven snow now, despite his racism when it came to busing, despite the fact that Tara Reade believed the woman accused him of rape. When I saw a video, they did a special on the Kavanaugh shenanigans. I think it was on Fox News last night, I think it was on last night. And Kamala Harris proudly standing there, holding, almost had Kavanaugh in tears. This guy had nothing to hide. There was no proof he did anything wrong. I want to hear Christine Blasey Ford. I believe her, Kamala Harris said, with all of the exuberance and phoniness that Kamala Harris has at her beck and call. Now she just wants to be president. She just wants to be the president of the United States. Makes sense, doesn't it? Maybe that's Pelosi's modus operandi. Maybe that's her means to an end. Make sure the 25th Amendment can be used to remove a sitting president from office if he is deemed incompetent, as Joe Biden most assuredly could be, and replace him with Kamala Harris. Danger waiting to happen. 9:28. Got to take a break. We'll be right back. Don't go away. In fact, share. Bring more in. Love to have you. I'm John James.
Legacy 1160, WSKW.
I want to tell you about the incredible items you'll find at Town Line Antiques, but there's no match for seeing them in person and reliving those wonderful memories for yourself. Shop through their great selection of furniture, artwork, classic electronics, sports memorabilia, jewelry, books, glassware, home decor, and so much more. Take home a little something to decorate a room with style. Add to your collection or share wonderful memories of your past with family and friends. Town Line Antiques, open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 to 5, Route 201, right on the Winslow-Vassalboro Town Line.
Hi, my name is Tony Esposito from Rockland Ford, and we want to buy your car. An unexpected situation created by this pandemic is that there is a nationwide shortage of inventory. Now, what does this mean for you? This means that the vehicle you own has never been worth more. In some cases, your vehicle is worth retail book value. I have never seen anything like it. So, if you need some extra cash or a lower payment, there has truly never been a better time to sell or trade your vehicle. If I was a consumer, I would sell high on my trade while buying low and cashing in on 0% interest and manufacturer's rebates. This is not a gimmick. This is real talk. Don't wait. Call us at 594-4466 today for a free purchase offer, or visit us at rocklandford.com.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's. Collision Center.
If your car is a wreck and you don't know where to go,
Take it to Moody's.
you want to get on with your life, get on with the show.
Take it to Moody's.
Good people you can trust, and it won't be a fuss.
Take it to Moody's. Collision Centers.
M-O-O-D-Y. Your kid was talking on the cell phone, drove right through your own home, sitting in the parking lot. Maybe you get hit a lot, driving through the green light. Suddenly your side swipe, put it in reverse, but it turned out that it was first. Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
911, what's your emergency?
I think we're going to need a fire truck over here.
Is something burning, sir?
Yeah, it's Susan Collins. She and her allies have told so many lies about Sarah Gideon, some of us think their pants might combust. You know, liar, liar.
Pants on fire. Yes, good thing you called. Can you see any flames?
Well, right now it's just a whole lot of smoke Susan Collins is using to cover up her record on taxes. She was the key vote to pass Donald Trump's tax plan, you know?
I do remember that.
Yep, Collins gave billions in tax cuts to corporations and the wealthy, but raised taxes on Maine families.
Any idea why she did that?
Yeah, maybe because the corporate PACs gave her $6 million?
Okay, stand by. I'm contacting dispatch.
They better hurry. Susan Collins' lies are out of control.
Susan Collins, she's not for you anymore.
I'm Sarah Gideon, running for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Sarah Gideon for Maine.
I'm CBS 13 meteorologist Lexi O'Connor. Cloudy with areas of fog this morning, then developing sun. It will be brightest and warmest away from the coast. Low 70s at the coast, mid 70s to near 80 degrees further inland. Rain moves in tonight into tomorrow. It will also be windy, clearing during the afternoon. Highs in the low 70s, mostly sunny, less humid for Thursday.
Your pep rally for freedom is back. Powered by the Gun Shop in Augusta on Coney Circle. Now, here's John James.
Hi. Here I am. Whoa, hold on. Stop this shenanigan. I wanted to play this last week, and I never got around to it. Let's start out with Joe Biden. Where we're talking about Joe Biden being replaced by Kamala Harris shortly after he gets elected, if God forbid he does. And thank you for the comment. Yeah, polls are meant to shape public opinion. I agree. And that was one of the highlights of a recent Laura Ingraham angle to an extent. The 3 Ds. We're going to get to that too this morning here on Legacy 1160. Pelosi is invoking the 25th Amendment in case Trump is reelected more than she is doing it to remove Biden, says Ken in Skowhegan. That may well be. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. In either eventuality, she's getting ready. She's greasing the proverbial skids. Get rid of Trump, get rid of Biden to make way for a President Pence or a President Harris. Okay, seriously, who would you rather see in charge of the country? Even-handed, even-keeled, moral Mike Pence or phony, smug Kamala Harris? I ask you. And there are some out there that are going to say, well, without a doubt, Kamala Harris. Really? This is a woman who couldn't even gain any ground during the primaries. She gained nobody liked her. Now all of a sudden they love her. They warm right up to her now because, what I got at this point, Joe Biden narrowed it right down. Got to pick a woman of color. Boom. So there we go. We pigeonholed ourselves into a decision we're going to regret later. Mark my words on that. It will be regretted later. SCOTUS opening statements are going on right now. Thank you. I can't see who that text is from, but yes, I am aware of that. That is going on. And hopefully we'll see Amy Coney Barrett before the election, part of the Supreme Court, one of the Supreme Court justices. We'll see. We will see. Only time will tell. Whoops, hold on a second. I've got to paste something real quick here. Whoops, no. Oh, there we go. Okay. So let me see. Joe Biden. Joe Biden is, he's a piece of work. That's what Joe was. His town halls are media fluff and basically a Joe Biden commercial. And this is what the networks are doing, from ABC and NBC and CBS, doing the shameless shameless book promotions during the news. Is a new book out news? If it is, then it's news when somebody on the left and somebody on the right releases a good book that you should read. Right? Am I wrong? Dan Crenshaw released a book that was certainly newsworthy. If these anti-Trump books that they have been promoting, there have been 3 of them, I think, that have been on the news channels. Lester Holt promoted one of them. Now, Lester Holt did a town hall. I don't know how long it went. I didn't watch it, but I saw pieces of it. And it was very carefully done. And the people in the audience were undecideds. Have you heard about this? They were undecided voters. Well, it turns out, no, not so much. And maybe that's what the video that a listener sent me shows. I don't know. Maybe it does. But the people who were undecided voters, who Biden was trying to convince to vote for him, they had already been interviewed in previous newscasts. That's how they found these people. They said they were all they supported Biden. They weren't undecided. It's Lester Holt, NBC, DNC. It's a cooperative between the networks and the DNC to get Joe Biden elected because Trump is oh so dangerous. This is from a Newsbusters, the story. Beware the carefully scripted puffball town halls that have been organized by CNN and NBC to help Joe Biden's campaign. They've done not one thing to help Donald Trump's campaign. Not one thing. They don't even report positive news stories about Donald Trump when there is one. They won't. They won't do it. But they will go out of their way to have special events to promote Joe Biden. This is American media. So the first words out of NBC anchorman Lester Holt's mouth on October 5th were, "Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's town hall where we are surrounded by dozens of undecided voters." Listening to the questions disqualifies the claim. For example, Holt presented Ingrid Gilliam Alexander as undecided but leaning towards Biden. She insisted Trump was bullying Biden at the debate. "And I'm worried that it knocked you off your game. How do I know you're able to forcefully lead the country moving forward when being faced with unforeseen challenges and other bullies?" Well, on her LinkedIn page, the questioner posted a video under the hashtag Joe Biden 2020. Undecided? No, not so much. I mean, I don't know why they try to present things as truths when they're so easily called out. Do they not do their job as journalists, or do they just hope nobody notices? I think it's probably a little of both. I think they're lazy. I think their idea of journalism now is going through a Twitter feed and seeing what people are talking about, and they think that is indicative of what America thinks. Here, try this Holt introduction out. Lester Holt. Our next question from Cassidy Brown of Orlando, voted for the first time in 2016. Brown's question: my youngest sister is in high school right now, and I knew whenever I was graduating high school and entering college that I wanted to obtain my degree and start a career before starting my family. Having access to birth control and safe reproductive health was imperative in making that true for me. So considering the new Supreme Court nomination of Amy Coney Barrett, what are your particular plans to protect women's reproductive rights in the U.S.? Well, that actually sounds like a Planned Parenthood questionnaire, as opposed to an undecided voter. And, well, ding, sure enough, on her publicly available Facebook page, Brown posted a meme in 2019 from Vote Pro-Choice and a protest sign that reads, "You're pro-life until the baby is. Poor, transgender, black, gay, Mexican, disabled, sick, etc." What kind of a foolish rant on a sign is that? You are pro-life regardless of what the baby's trajectory in life is. That was just, it was stupidity. Let me read this to you again. Her sign said, in 2019, this undecided voter, you're pro-life until the baby is poor, transgender, black, gay, Mexican, disabled, sick, etc. What a lying sack of crap. And how disingenuous or how stupid is she? You have a kid, you love your child no matter what. Period. And you support them as best you can in their life's decisions. But their life is theirs, not yours as a mother to decide. I think this baby's going to be poor. Yeah, this baby's probably going to be transgender or gay. Oh, I think I need to have an abortion. What? Stupid. So those are a couple of the stupid people that were at this undecided voter ad hosted by Lester Holt on NBC. Very ironic, too, that sign, since the right to choose is often reserved for eliminating disabled or sick babies. And you can find Ralph Northam's remarks on that. He is the governor of Virginia. Governor Ralph Baby Killer, Gun Hater, Constitution Hater Northam of Virginia. Oh, yeah. And blackface hood-wearing Ralph. Oh, we don't talk about that. He's liberal. He's leftist. No. We never bring that up again. Never bring that was in his younger days. That was in his wild youth. Michelle Cruz Marrero was also at this town hall. Presented by Holt as someone who used to be a registered Republican but voted for Hillary in 2016. She professed, as a mother of a police officer and the wife of a retired police officer, served 28 years, the term defunding the police is of concern and troubling. With that being said, I would like to know what you and your administration's policies in reforming the police, how those will come about, how they will be best handled to ensure police officer safety and the public citizen safety as well. Well, you don't have to go any farther than Facebook to find out that Michelle Cruz Marrero can be found with Cubanos con Biden. So she's no undecided voter. After the event, she wrote, Biden was eloquent. And I hope that this clarified all questions regarding the false narrative of defunding the police and that he seeks to reform the police and make it a better place for all of us to live in. It's unbelievable. Now, here is some audio from a video at this NBC town hall little over a week ago. And I don't know. It's only a minute. Not exactly sure what's in it. It may take. Welcome back. Okay, I think what this is going to do. Welcome back. It's going to take these undecided voters and flash back to when they were previously on the news touting Biden. Let's give it a listen here.
Miami and the town hall meeting with former Vice President Joe Biden taking questions from undecided voters. Peter Gonzalez has the next question.
Welcome to Miami, Mr. Vice President. I was born in Hartford, Connecticut, and I've been living in Coral Gables for the last 20 plus years. We get 4 more years of Trump. Good luck.
There's the flashback.
Good luck with the future, attracting younger voters.
Let's go to Ismail Eliano, who voted for Hillary Clinton 4 years ago, but has voted Republican in the past. What's your question for Mr. Biden?
Hi, Mr. Vice President. Things that Joe Biden said during his speech that resonated with me was, what defines America's possibility.
Mateo Gomez joins us now. First-time voter, came to the U.S. from Colombia at age 2. Welcome.
Spent a lot of time in Colombia.
Thank you, Lester, for the introduction.
after watching the debate, Mateo Gomez told us he really didn't feel like he got a whole lot out of it, and it really did not do a lot to help him.
If you had to pull the trigger and vote for someone tomorrow, how would you vote?
Probably Biden.
There you go. Flashbacks right there. All three of those that were asked questions, undecided voters who were asked those questions on stage by Lester Holt, all three had previously said publicly they were going to vote for Biden. They have really lost all credibility with Americans, haven't they? The news outlets? How does anybody watch them and think they're getting what they need to understand what's going on? It's completely lopsided. The news, the journalists have lost their ability to inform, and rather they are telling you how to think. They aren't giving you news and letting you make the decision. They are trying to form. They are engaging in trying to change the narrative of everybody in the country. And they have the power to do it, sadly. This is social engineering, plain and simple. They are trying to engineer a more liberal society with these purported newscasts. None of them are journalists. None of them. They just claim to be. And some of them are well-spoken and articulate, but they're lying. They're all disingenuous. They're all lying. 947, back with more. I'm John James.
1160 WSKW.
Our Medicare supplement and drug coverage is so expensive, we're barely keeping up with our bills.
My husband and I were in the same situation. So I got some help from the Senior Planning Center. They were able to show us some high-quality Medicare Advantage plans that saved us a lot of money.
The Senior Planning Center? Tell me more.
They have helpful agents all over the state. Real Mainers helping Mainers. Give them a call at 778-6565. The Senior Planning Center. They were there to help when it mattered most. I'm glad I called them. You'll be glad too.
This is Bill Green. Growing up in Maine, I've always been proud of our senators on both sides of the aisle. And I'm especially proud to know Susan Collins. In times of crisis, she's displayed courage and integrity, whether it was reforming our intelligence community after 9/11 or fighting the pandemic today. Susan is a problem solver. She's at the center of nearly every common sense solution that makes our government work better. And while Susan hasn't changed, politics sadly has. This year, Mainers have suffered through the most expensive negative campaign in our history, with $40 million being spent by out-of-state groups trying to buy our vote. We know Susan, and we know what they're saying just isn't true. So don't let out-of-state bullies with big checkbooks buy Maine's Senate seat. This is Bill Green. I trust Susan Collins because she is from, of, and for the people of Maine, always.
I'm Susan Collins, candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Collins for Senator.
Millionaire Sarah Gideon's tax hike would increase the price of gas and home heating oil in Maine by 40 cents a gallon. To regular Mainers, that would really hurt. Here's Dawn from Booth Bay.
The last thing I need right now is higher fuel bills. We're having a hard time as it is now. It would affect my family. Certainly would affect my friends because we're not wealthy people. With the economy, it's really bad for a lot of people here. I don't know how I would make it through. Maybe I'll have to close my house up. Sarah Gideon is a millionaire. She doesn't know what it's like to be cold and miserable. I don't feel like she's very sincere in what she says. Sarah Gideon has done nothing at all to help us. Nothing.
Say no to Sarah Gideon. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Center.
If your car is a wreck and you don't know where to go,
take it to Moody's.
You wanna get on with your life, get on with the show.
Take it to Moody's.
Good people you can trust, and it won't be a fuss.
Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
MOODY. Your kid was talking on the cell phone, drove right through your own home, sitting in the parking lot. Maybe you get hit a lot, driving through the green light. Suddenly your side swipe, put it in reverse, but it turned out that it was first.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
Welcome back. There we go. A little music get us back. We need music. 9:51 here on Legacy 1160 WSKW. Let's look at Joe Biden, the racist now, shall we? Guess who's calling Joe Biden a racist? BLM. Can't make it up. Joe Biden says the black community loves him and that he doesn't have a racist bone in his body. Now we know that's not true. We heard him on The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God telling the host, you don't know whether you're voting for me or Trump, you ain't black. What if others were onto him, though? That could give him a credibility problem, couldn't it? Huh. Co-founder of the Black Lives Matter chapter in Los Angeles said she would not support Democratic nominees Joe Biden's presidential campaign because he's part of the violent white supremacist system. Okay. Dr. Melina Abdullah made the comments to ABC in a news report about how Black Lives Matter's movement might affect the election. How about that? People are feeling dismayed that the choices are between, a violent white supremacist and another person who represents that same system. Abdullah is a California State University professor. Previously faced charges including battery on a Los Angeles Police Department officer arising from her participation in a BLM protest last year. The charges were later dropped after pressure against the city from protesters. Yeah, you don't have to abide by the law if you get out there and you're loud and violent, perhaps. They're afraid to prosecute you. Other BLM leaders voiced similar anxiety about the lack of change that they can expect from either choice in this election. Donald Trump, nobody has yet to prove to me how Donald Trump has not helped everybody. All right. I got a message here from Mikkel. This Cornyn, you mean, I think you're talking about Cornyn, Senator Cornyn from Texas, encouraging Amy Coney Barrett to be neutral and inquires how she balances career and a large family. I mean, what an amazing person she is. 7 kids. She's got 7 kids and a family. And she's commuted to, Illinois for her circuit court job. And now she could be the next Supreme Court justice. I sure hope she makes it. I really do. So anyway, there's your Joe Biden, the racist story. And also in finishing up on the NBC town hall, there's another one coming up on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, there's another town hall. And the proper description for this NBC News event, according to the Media Research Center, is infomercial. Bingo. Really, it's like an hour-long infomercial, or however long it is, for Joe Biden. Holt was selling Joe Biden like Larry King hawks Omega XL diet supplements and carcinogenic prostate pills. Can we expect more of the same at the October 15th town hall debate with a much greater audience? Now, the debate, I assume it's not going to be a town hall for Biden. I assume they're talking about the debate, which has been canceled. And there's some interesting side notes to that as well. Should that have been canceled? Donald Trump is no longer contagious. He can go back out and do his thing. The doctors have said he is not a threat. However, the Presidential Debate Commission, comprised of a bunch of never-Trumpers and Democrats, have said no. No, they wanted it to be virtual. Why? So Joe could do it from his basement. Maybe Joe just doesn't like to leave his house because he at least knows his way around there. Sometimes maybe he has to be told where the bathroom is sometimes. He knows where his basement is because he spent most of the year down there. So what's the deal on this presidential debate that is not happening? Why is it not happening? Well, there are different schools of thought on that. And let's see, we've got a couple of them here. You stand by. Stand by till I can put my finger on it. Oh, Bob Dole. Did you hear Bob Dole came out on this debate thing? And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Bob Dole's still alive? Well, yeah. He's come out on it. Bob Dole, former senator, former presidential candidate. Bob Dole, a guy who referred to himself in third person. You remember that? Bob Dole would do this. If Bob Dole was elected president. I like Bob Dole. And he really isn't active politically anymore. He's I don't know, about 100, I think. He's always been close with the Bush family. But he strongly supported Trump as the GOP nominee. And he's calling foul now. He was a longtime member of the Washington In Crowd, so it does still mean something when he goes out and speaks up about people he admits are his friends on the debate commission. He knows the people on the debate commission. He called them unfair and said no one in the room deciding debate rules and so on is a Trump supporter. The Commission on Presidential Debates is supposedly bipartisan, with an equal number of R's and D's. I know all of the Republicans, and most are friends of mine, said Dole in a tweet that exploded online. I'm concerned that none of them support Donald Trump. RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel was asked on Face the Nation yesterday, do you feel this week's debate being canceled has put the president behind? Here's what McDaniel said.
You know, we've been looking at our numbers internally as well. We are not seeing that. We've seen the president actually increase in his numbers. I think voters are very frustrated by the corrupt debate commission that they would cancel a second debate. I think it feeds into the belief that this 47 years that Joe Biden has had in D.C. is again protecting him from facing the voters. And Americans are frustrated that this election commission interfered with our ability to see these two candidates debate.
There are Republicans on that commission, and that decision was made in part due to health concerns because of lack of disclosure.
Well, they're not nonpartisan Republicans. Those Republicans have been very critical of this president. They did not follow the science. It was done unilaterally without talking to the candidates, and they interfered in the election. It is corrupt. It is what D.C. is. They are in the pocket of Joe Biden, and they prevented the American public from seeing these candidates debate, and it's wrong for the country.
It is very wrong for the country. Everybody is against Trump, and those who are for him are not being very loud. It's time to be loud and be proud of where we stand. I am. I, for one, am. Are you? Oh, by the way, one of the decision makers that makes up the commission is none other than Maine's own Olympia Snowe, who doesn't like President Trump. So the cards are stacked against the president. All over the place, everywhere you turn, the cards are stacked against Donald Trump. And the electorate, those for Donald Trump, had better get out and vote on November 3rd. Get out. I don't mean vote by mail. I don't mean absentee ballot. I mean nothing of the kind. Go to the polls. Do early voting if you have to, if you want to avoid crowds when early voting is available. Do not vote by mail. Do not. Do you want your vote to be counted? Go to the polls. Do not use ranked choice. Pick one candidate. President Donald, well, pick whoever you want. Donald Trump. And mark every choice for Donald Trump. So there's no way anybody can tamper with your ballot. Because believe me, their means to ends are as corrupt as they can be. To the point I would not put it past people to tamper with actual ballots. I would not put it past. I told you way back last year, but right after we started, don't think for a minute that they will stop at nothing to rig this election. Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats are taking all the air out of the room by saying it's Trump that is going to rig the election. It's nothing of the kind. We know where the corruption lies. Not from a newbie to politics who came in 4 years ago and started to clean up the swamp, starting with the Department of Justice, but with those who have been in office for 40, 50, or more years. Lifetime millionaire politicians. Where did they make all their money? That would be us. That would be us. Time to pull the plug, drain the swamp, crush the beaver dam, let the water flow out of the swamp so it can become a nice, clean, green area once again. 10:02 right now, back with more. I hope you stick around. I've got a lot more to say. I'm John James.
From the Home Auto Group Studios, Farmington Ford and Franklin Chrysler in Farmington. This is WSKW, Skowhegan, Augusta, Waterville, Legacy 1160.
ABC News, I'm Elizabeth Schulze. Senate Judiciary Committee member and vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris is among Democrats grilling Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett at hearings underway now. But Senator Harris will participate from her office via a remote feed over concerns about the pandemic. ABC's Terry Moran with a preview of what we'll hear from Judge Barrett.
No Supreme Court justice in American history has ever been confirmed by the Senate this close to an election. In her opening statement obtained by ABC News, she says she'd be a justice in the mold of her mentor, Justice Antonin Scalia. She'll declare to the Senate, she'll say, courts are not designed to solve every problem in society.
For the first time since his COVID-19 diagnosis, he thinks he's immune now. President Trump hitting the campaign trail with a stop in Florida. Challenger Joe Biden in Ohio. He stops in Toledo and Cincinnati. Police in downtown Portland, Oregon, declaring a riot overnight after protesters took part in what some were calling a day of rage. This is ABC News. Another report based on the president's taxes out from the New York Times. It suggests dozens of customers at Trump properties with interest before the government brought in $12 million in 2017 and 2018. More from ABC Chief National Affairs Correspondent Tom Yamas.
The Times reports President Trump transplanted favor-seeking in Washington to his family's hotels and resorts and earned millions as a gatekeeper to his own administration. The paper reports the president visited his resorts and hotels nearly 400 times since being inaugurated. attended more than 30 political fundraisers at his properties, generating a reported $3 million in revenue. The president's son, Eric, says his father didn't benefit financially when he ran for office.
We've lost a fortune. My father's lost a fortune running for president.
South Korea's National Security Council convening an emergency session over the weekend after a nighttime military parade in North Korea. On display, what looked like an intercontinental ballistic missile. I'm Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News.
I worry about lots of things. My finances, my grandkids.
If you're 65 or older, you have enough things to worry about. Pneumococcal pneumonia shouldn't be one of them. Even healthy adults 65 and older are at increased risk for this potentially serious bacterial lung disease that can disrupt your life for weeks. Help protect yourself with the Prevnar 13 pneumococcal 13-valent conjugate vaccine, diphtheria CRM 197 protein. Prevnar 13 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 13 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Prevnar 13 does not protect against all strains of the disease. Don't get Prevnar 13 if you have had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with a weakened immune system may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-866-694-9300 or visit Prevnar13.com. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 13.
It's time for the truth, and you found the home of it right here. Here's your truth-telling, freedom-loving, flag-waving host, John James.
I got to tie my shoes. Look at this. Whoops, it fell off. I don't like to bend over. That's the problem. Look at that. New Balance. Made right here in Maine. I wouldn't have a Nike. You couldn't pay me enough to wear Nikes. Born in the USA. Right here, baby. Born right in Maine. I got to tie it, though. Maybe I'll have Mike tie it. When my back goes out, I literally have to have people tie my shoes. It hasn't gone out for a while, but I shouldn't say anything about that. Because, you know, sure as I do, it'll go out on me. Amy Coney Barrett now is being grilled. Confirmation hearings are underway. And, of course, she is the replacement or the would-be replacement for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And the things they're most worried about, not surprisingly, are the Affordable Care Act and a woman's right to choose whether or not to kill her baby, and gun control. So you can't protect yourself in your house. That's what the Democrats are worried about. Those are the three biggies right there. Affordable Care Act, abortion rights, and the ability of the government to tell you what guns you can and cannot have, or if you can have any at all. So that's what's on the line. And they are coming unglued. They're literally coming unglued. Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett released her opening statement. And now I obviously didn't hear it this morning. I assume she's made her opening statement. And the liberal outrage over what Barrett said or will say yesterday, it was, hadn't happened yet. They came unglued on Twitter. Barrett's hearings before
for.
I'm working every day to
Cut. You sent the legislature home 6 months ago and haven't done anything since then.
they don't need to know that.
Shut it down. Sarah, let's just toss this thing to someone who actually never stops working for Maine.
I'm Susan Collins, candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Collins for Senator.
In 2013, we opened the Portland Hunt and Alpine Club.
We're a small bar and restaurant. We have a dozen employees.
When the pandemic forced us to close, we went from being open 7 days a week to literally one day making nothing and dealing with months of having zero revenue for our business at all. We needed a PPP small business loan to keep our employees and just to keep our business.
We feel the responsibility of a dozen employees' livelihoods, their food, their shelter, their families. But Susan Collins wrote a loophole to let corporate chains take the small business loan. And Mitch McConnell included it in the law.
Big corporate chains scarfed up the money before most small businesses like ours had a chance. We feel totally abandoned by her.
They were supposed to be looking out for us.
Susan Collins and Mitch McConnell were just looking out for their big corporate donors and not Mainers.
Change Now is responsible for the content of this ad, paid for by Change Now. Make changenow.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
I'm CBS 13 meteorologist Lexi O'Connor. Cloudy with areas of fog this morning, then developing sun. It will be brightest and warmest away from the coast. Low 70s at the coast, mid 70s to near 80 degrees further inland. Rain moves in tonight into tomorrow. It will also be windy, clearing during the afternoon. Highs in the low 70s, mostly sunny, less humid for Thursday.
Your pep rally for freedom is back, powered by the Gun Shop in Augusta on Coney Circle. Now, here's John James.
Yeah, we had frozen video. I'm sorry about that. I have no idea what happened. No idea. Happens every now and again. I hope you didn't miss. My praise of Jake Tapper. I very seldom get to do that. Hey there, Lisa. Yeah, we're back. Hey, Ann. Yeah. Jake Tapper did a great job on CNN. Pushing hard against the Biden deputy campaign manager after Biden said in his little airport session on Saturday that what the Republicans are doing is unconstitutional. And this woman had no idea. She had no idea when Jake Tapper kept pushing, what's unconstitutional? What is unconstitutional? Maybe it's not right in your eyes or Joe Biden's eyes, but what about it is unconstitutional? And she didn't answer because she couldn't. And Joe Biden, shame on him. 47 years in Congress and as vice president for 8. And he doesn't know what the Constitution says. He makes these claims like he's some sort of a brain. He should be. He should be very smart when it comes to constitutional matters. You see, he's supposed to defend the Constitution as part of his duties. But he doesn't even know what it says. So anyway, no, the Republicans aren't doing anything unconstitutional or even immoral by pushing Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court nomination. They're doing everything by the letter of the law, and they've got a great candidate to put there. A good jurist who will not interpret the Constitution, but rather will read it as it was originally written and rule based on the rule of law and how it applies to the Constitution. In other words, they won't make stuff up to ban certain types of guns insofar as she's concerned, and we will have a good conservative majority that will rule that way for a generation or more if she gets on the Supreme Court. That's the way it ought to be. There's nothing in the Second Amendment, for example, there is nothing in the Second Amendment that says Americans can only own guns the government says they can. No, it doesn't. It doesn't specify. Americans have the right to keep and bear arms. And that's the gist of it. It doesn't say you can only own muskets. It doesn't say you cannot own modern rifles that look evil. Doesn't even say you can't own machine guns. And you actually can own machine guns. You can, and you can shoot them too. It costs a lot of money. You have to get a special license, but you can do it. You can even own a bazooka. Did you know that? Again, you have to go through a law, but you can own one. So, as Amy Coney Barrett is getting ready to make her opening statements today that the left is going to hate, some interesting news about Chief Justice John Roberts has come out, who presided over the president's impeachment trial. He apparently hates Donald Trump. Well, get in line. Chief Justice Roberts hates Donald, and those are the words that were used, hates Donald Trump. David Brody of Just the News interviewed Ted Cruz. And he began by saying he talked with Vice President Pence recently, and Pence told him he was disappointed in John Roberts. He then asked Cruz what his thoughts are on the Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, I very much agree. I think John Roberts has become the new Sandra Day O'Connor, and it is an unfortunate thing. I talk about John Roberts at considerable length in the book.
Right.
I've known John 25 years. He was a law clerk to Chief Justice Rehnquist, as was I. When he was a practicing lawyer, he was widely considered the finest Supreme Court advocate in the country. But John, I actually think much of what is driving it is I think John despises Donald Trump. I think it's personal. I think it is difficult to come up with two human beings more antithetical than John Roberts and Donald Trump in every respect about everything about their person.
Right.
I think Roberts, Roberts at his confirmation hearing, he famously gave the example. He said a judge should be like an umpire, simply calling balls and strikes. And unfortunately, what Roberts has done in the last couple of years is set aside his role as an umpire, and he stood up and put on a team's uniform, and he's grabbed a bat and he is swinging away. And it is really, it's unfortunate to see, but it is sadly a pattern. A whole lot of Republican nominees in the past have followed as well.
Interesting. Despise, not hate, despise was the word Ted Cruz used. He's picked a team, he's taken a bat, and is swinging away. He comes down on both sides in various cases. That must make him a switch hitter. You'd always want to think a Supreme Court justice is impartial, wouldn't you? Well, we've seen before that's not true. They base some cases on their personal interpretation of the law. And in the case of Roberts, I hate to think it and hope it's a conspiracy theory, but is it possible that he could rule on a case based on whether or not it hurts or helps the president? What if the final decision came down to John Roberts during the impeachment trial? Now, that is a possibility, is it not? I remember that as being not a good possibility, but a possibility. By the way, the book that Ted Cruz is talking about, the book he wrote, it's called One Vote Away, How a Single Supreme Court Seat Can Change History. And this is what's got the left all worked up. Because this is, in fact, a very historic time in America and a very, very historic time for the Supreme Court. I don't know, as any other president, maybe you probably are more familiar with the history on this than I am, but has a sitting president in just one term ever installed 3 Supreme Court justices? Kind of interesting, isn't it? That's a pretty big deal. I mean, you talk about somebody's legacy being left for a long, long time. Whew. Love him or hate him, he will have left a legacy if Amy Coney Barrett is installed on the Supreme Court. So, Mike Lee of Utah, communist? Is he a communist? Well, according to Newsbusters, if it weren't so disgustingly dishonest, it would be hilarious. MSNBC, with a helping hand from a Lincoln Project never-Trumper, has uncovered a communist who has somehow managed to infiltrate the U.S. Congress. Can you believe it? And it's none other than Republican Senator Mike Lee from the Stalinist, the very Stalinist Utah. Jonathan Capehart was guest hosting AM Joy. Why the hell do they still call it AM Joy? Joy Reid is gone. She's doing the readout now. They still call it AM Joy. There's no joy. Not even a smile. So, you got Jonathan Capehart on AM Joy, and he invited Stuart Stevens of the Lincoln Project on the show with him to discuss a tweet from earlier in the week, which Senator Lee, had posted on Twitter. Now listen to this. Listen to the stupidity. Try not to destroy your radio or phone or whatever you're listening on. Here it is.
On this question of adding justices to the Supreme Court, I want to play what he said.
It's not constitutional what they're doing. We should be focused
Okay,
on
whoa. That is not, I repeat, that is not the correct cut. Let's try this again. Here we go.
On this question of adding justice.
Okay, no, that's okay. We've got something didn't come out right there, did it? No? Well, that's interesting.
On this question.
Okay, we've got two of the same here. All right. Well, I will find it. I will get to it. I want you to hear this. You've got to hear this. Stick around. I will have it coming right up. I will find it. There's been an error by the production team. We'll revisit this next. I'm John James.
Legacy 1160, WSKW.
I want to tell you about all of the incredible items you can find at Townline Antiques, but there's no substitute for seeing them in person and reliving those wonderful memories for yourself. Now's the perfect time to shop through their great selection of furniture, artwork, classic electronics, sports memorabilia, jewelry, books, glassware, home decor, and so much more. Take home something to decorate a room with style, add to your collection, or share wonderful memories of your past with family and friends. Townline Antiques, open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 to 5. Route 201, right on the Winslow-Vassaboro Town Line.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Center.
If your car is a wreck and you don't know where to go,
take it to Moody's.
You want to get on with your life, get on with the show,
take it to Moody's.
Good people you can trust and it won't be a fuss.
Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
MOODY. Your kid was talking on the cell phone, drove right through your own home, sitting in the parking lot. Maybe you get hit a lot, driving through the green light. Suddenly your side swipe, put it in reverse, but it turned out that it was first. Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
How do you think things in Washington are going these days? No, it's not a trick question. What do you really think? As Washington has failed, Speaker of the House Sarah Gideon has helped bring Democrats and Republicans together to protect Maine people. When Washington threatened to repeal the Affordable Care Act, Sarah Gideon successfully fought to make sure 230,000 Mainers with pre-existing conditions would not lose their coverage. When Washington failed to control skyrocketing prescription drug costs, in Maine, Sarah Gideon cracked down on companies who jacked up prices. And when Washington passed trillion-dollar tax cuts for corporations and the wealthy, but raised taxes on middle-class families, Sarah Gideon wrote the first direct property tax relief bill to pass in years, working together to get things done for Mainers. That's what Sarah Gideon's always done, and that's what she'll do in the Senate.
I'm Sarah Gideon, running for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Sarah Gideon for Maine.
Millionaire Sarah Gideon's tax hike would increase the price of gas and home heating oil in Maine by 40 cents a gallon. To regular Mainers, that would really hurt. Here's Dawn from Booth Bay.
The last thing I need right now is higher fuel bills. We're having a hard time as it is now. It would affect my family. Certainly would affect my friends because we're not wealthy people. With the economy, it's really bad for a lot of people here. I don't know how I would make it through. Maybe I'll have to close my house up. Sarah Gideon is a millionaire. She doesn't know what it's like to be cold and miserable. I don't feel like she's very sincere in what she says. Sarah Gideon has done nothing at all to help us. Nothing.
Say no to Sarah Gideon. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
All right, welcome back to the show. Freedom's Pep Rally, right here. Corey. I think it was Corey. Pretty sure it's my computer guy. Corey. By the way, I've got to give a, speaking of computer guys, I've got to give a shout out to Scott and Trevor over at Virtual Dimensions. No, it was Casey. Hey, Casey. Of course it was Casey. I know that's what I meant. I didn't mean Corey. I meant Casey. I'll answer your question here in a second about speed. So, I wanted, my grandson thought it would be fun to build a computer. Or actually, my son thought it would be fun for me to build a computer with my grandson, because I'm a computer guy. I'm a computer geek. So I had Scott and Trevor over at Virtual Dimensions in Fairfield put together a system, which I proceeded to take apart somewhat so we could assemble it back together, because I wanted my grandson to see inside a computer and know what did what and so forth. So, and he wanted a gaming computer. Now, if you know anything about gaming computers, and Casey, I know you do, and I know others do, they aren't inexpensive. They are not at all inexpensive. But boy, I'll tell you what, they are fast. It's amazing. This thing is like lightning. To give Casey and others who know computers an idea, it's got a terabyte solid state drive. It's got 16 gigabytes of memory. It's an i7 processor, 9th generation. It's got I don't even know what the graphics card is. I know it's fan cooled, and the computer is liquid cooled. It's got a radiator in it. And it's got 4 fans they light up. They're colorful, and you can change the color of the fans. And it's got a glass. The side of the case has got tempered glass, So it's an amazing machine. It's really quick. So we were having some issues yesterday, and this speaks to Casey's question and what might be the root of our problems here in the studio from time to time. I was having speed issues with my internet at home, and I didn't think to do a speed test. You can do a speed test at home. Now, if you've got Spectrum, let me tell you something right now. If you have got Spectrum and have had them for a long time and have had your internet, haven't made any changes, go to Internet Speed Test, and you'll get a speed test. It'll come right up on Google, and you can test your internet speed. Now, if your internet speed, if you're not, overloaded with devices at your house, and your internet speed is any less than 100 megabytes per second down, and any less than 10 or 11 megabytes per second up, then call Spectrum. And you will get a much faster internet speed, and you'll pay less for your bundle. You will pay less, and your internet speed will soar. So I did a speed test here, and this is pathetic. It's really kind of strange, actually. The speed test for this studio is downloads at 23.8 megabytes per second. 23 should be up at around 100. But it uploads at 21 megabytes per second. So that's got to be business class, I would guess. Why is my download speed so slow? That's a question for Casey. Answer me that. Riddle me this, Casey. I got to get somebody on the phone with Spectrum. I believe we have Spectrum Internet. 10:45 right now on Legacy 1160 WSKW. Okay. Let's get back to it here. Mike Lee of Utah is a communist. He is a communist. Senator Lee of the Stalinist state of Utah is a communist. So on AM Joy, there's been no joy there for months. Well, there's never been any joy there, but I mean, there hasn't been a person named Joy on there for a month. Instead, on AM Joy was Jonathan Capehart, guest hosting, and he invited Never Trumper Stuart Stevens of the Lincoln Project on to discuss a tweet from earlier in the week, which Lee had written. And this has idiocy all throughout. It just hurts my brain. Listen. Whoa. No, I told you this one. Okay.
This tweet from Utah Senator Mike Lee on Thursday, where he tweeted out, "We're not a democracy," followed by, "Democracy isn't the objective. Liberty, peace, and prosperity, misspelled, are. We want the human condition to flourish. Rank democracy can thwart that." Stuart, what in the entire... I can't curse on TV. What's going on?
Can't curse.
Look, that I tweeted in response to that. That basically sums up the position of the Communist Party in the Soviet Union for 75 years.
Communist.
You don't need democracy to help the people. I really, what's happening now in the Republican Party, when you're in the middle of something, it's always difficult to sort of really understand it. But it is a complete moral collapse of a party, unlike anything we've seen, I think, in American history. Strangely, I think the only thing you can compare it to is the collapse of the Communist Party in the Soviet Union.
What? So you've got two guys here, a Never Trumper and the host of AM Joy, taking Senator Lee apart for his communist tweet, for saying America is not a democracy. You do understand Senator Lee is right, don't you? Here, let me give you a quick refresher lesson from the Heritage Foundation. America is a republic and not a pure democracy. The contemporary efforts to weaken our republican customs and institutions in the name of greater equality thus run against the efforts by America's founders to defend our country from potential excesses of democratic majorities. American republicanism and the ordered liberty it makes possible are grounded in the Federalist recognition that non-majoritarian parts of the community make legitimate contributions to the community's welfare, and that preserving these contributions is the hallmark of political justice. But the careful balance produced by our mixed republic is threatened. Preserving the Republican freedoms we cherish requires tempering egalitarian zeal and moderating the hope for a perfectly just democracy. We are a republic, and we use elements of democracy. It's a democratic republic. It's not a pure democracy. And they made it sound like Mike Lee is a communist for saying America is not a democracy. It's not. Newsflash. You know, these people, what do they teach in schools? Seriously, I'm serious. What do they teach in schools? That people can become adults, go into politics, go into journalism, and still not know anything about what the hell they're reporting on. I learned this when I was in high school, and I didn't pay attention in high school, but I did know that. I always knew America is not a pure democracy, but apparently MSNBC doesn't, nor do they care. Well, then again, Joe Biden, the Democrat nominee, doesn't know what the heck the Constitution even says. I love it when the pro-abortion people say it's a woman's right. First of all, if it only affected the woman, absolutely. Absolutely. But it doesn't just affect the woman. It also affects the man. How about the man's body, his choice? I mean, if there is a growing baby inside a woman, that baby is 50% of the male's contribution. Am I right? And the baby is another entity that nobody considers in the abortion rights realm. Just the woman. No, there's a man, and there, by the way, is a growing baby who, if you're pregnant, that clump of cells, as you call them, are on a trajectory to become, hopefully, a contributing member of society. And you can just say, well, not ready yet. Not ready yet. Think I'm going to go have this little problem taken care of. Where in the Constitution does it give you that right? I'll wait. I'll wait. I don't see any texts coming in. I don't see any phones ringing. Do I? Oh, there is a phone ringing. I don't know. Do we have somebody on there? No problem. No, I'll check during the next break. Some things I want to get to this hour. My body, my choice. Yeah, right. If it only affects you, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you can do what you want. You can smoke, you can drink, you can do whatever you want. But I don't think abortion is constitutional. I think murder is illegal. Yeah, I consider it murder. It's not just a clump of cells, and it's not just yours. It may be growing inside your body, but the man had equal parts to creating it. Now, true, a lot of men just cut and run. They are a-holes, in my humble opinion, and they should be held absolutely accountable. And if you know who the father is and you keep the baby, you should go after him with everything you've got. Destroy him to get what you need and deserve to help raise the baby both of you created. But do not think that it's okay to destroy the baby because the time's not right. I'm not ready. Then don't have sex. 5 till 10 o'clock here on Legacy 1160 WSKW. Well, I'm in pretty prestigious company as of, I don't know, this weekend, I guess this came out. The World Health Organization is apparently in agreement with what I said in April. And now they're coming out with this? Oh, it's not that evil communist Tedros, Dr. Tedros Adhanom, who, along with Xi Jinping in China, decided, all right, they're conniving. Why don't we just not tell anybody this disease is deadly and it can be passed from person to person? And why don't we say it came from a wet market? And so we'll deny any knowledge of its existence or its lethality, and we'll let it spread around the world. It's like Simon Barr's Sinister, only he was Russian. It's like Simon says, kill Americans. That's what China was doing with the WHO. There is another guy, I don't know if this guy's a real medical doctor within the WHO, named Dr. David Nabarro. He is the WHO's special envoy on COVID-19, and he told The Spectator last week that, oh, get ready. You and I have been saying this since April, because at first we were all good with the lockdowns until we could step back, right? This is what we were okay with. This is temporary. We're going to step back. We're going to look at where the most problems occur, what demographic most problems occur with, how we can avoid passing it around, blah, 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 all that. And then we'll be able to safely open up the economy and things will be able to go back to somewhat normal with restrictions, right? That's what we said in April after a 3 weeks of lockdown. Now, Dr. Nabarro says that lockdowns are not and were not the answer to COVID-19. Do they need you and me to go run the WHO? Nabarro pointed to the devastating economic side effects of the lockdown as evidence for why world leaders should not enact further lockdowns. Joe Biden has already said he would consider locking us down again. So who are you going to vote for, an idiot or a patriot? Dr. Nabarro said basically what I was saying in April. Remember this? A few weeks after the lockdowns, Take 2 or 3 weeks to assess the dangers, develop a plan, understand who's at risk, open up, and move on. The difference between the doctor and me is he's using knowledge of what's actually been going on. When I made similar statements last spring, I was merely using common sense. Here is Dr. Nabarro. Listen to what he has to say.
I want to say it again. We in the World Health Organization do not advocate lockdowns as a primary means of control of this virus. The only time we believe a lockdown is justified is to buy you time to reorganize, regroup, rebalance your resources, protect your health workers who are exhausted. But by and large, we'd rather not do it. Just look at what's happened to the tourism industry, for example, in the Caribbean or in the Pacific, because people aren't taking their holidays. Look what's happened to smallholder farmers all over the world because their markets have got dented. Look what's happening to poverty levels. It seems that we may well have a doubling of world poverty by next year. We may well have at least a doubling of child malnutrition because children are not getting meals at school and their parents in poor families are not able to afford it. This is a terrible, ghastly global catastrophe, actually. And so we really do appeal to all world leaders. Stop using lockdown as your primary control method. Develop better systems for doing it. Work together and learn from each other. But remember, lockdowns just have one consequence that you must never, ever belittle, and that is making poor people an awful lot poorer.
Making poor people poorer. The estimate I saw was the number I saw of people who were really hurting and more in poverty than ever was somewhere around 180 million people, which is well over half the U.S. population when you think about that. 180 million people in severe, I think the words were severe poverty. And of course, that's around the world, based solely on the lockdowns. Now, there were people who were already in poverty before that. Many of them are malnutrition. Many have died. Many have succumbed to alcoholism, to drug abuse, to suicide. Remember what we said. Take a step back. Shut it down, Janet. Shut it down. Comrade Mills, step back. Let's take a look at it. Let's see who's at risk. And then go from there. But no, we still aren't opened up. We still have restaurants at half capacity. Oh, and there's a New York, and I'll get to this. We've got to take a break for news. You won't believe what is happening to Jews in New York City. Thank you, Governor Cuomo. You moron. They are so inept in New York and New York City. You've got de Blasio in New York City. You've got Governor Cuomo. They're both Democrats, and they are completely inept when it comes to taking care of their people. More coming up. I'm John James.
From the Home Auto Group Studios, Farmington Ford and Franklin Chrysler in Farmington. This is WSKW, Skowhegan, Augusta, Waterville, Legacy 1160.
ABC News, I'm Jim Ryan. On Capitol Hill, Senate Judiciary Chairman Lindsey Graham gavelled in the start to the Senate confirmation hearing for Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. In his opening statement, Graham responded to Democrats who have said the nomination is too close to the election.
The bottom line is Justice Ginsburg, when asked about this several years ago, said that a president serves for 4 years, not 3. There's nothing unconstitutional about this process. This is a vacancy that's occurred through a tragic loss of a great woman, and we're going to fill that vacancy with another great woman.
Ranking member Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein spoke about the importance of this moment.
In filling Judge Ginsburg's seat, the stakes are extraordinarily high for the American people, both in the short term and for decades to come.
In her opening statement, Barrett will describe herself as a justice in the mold of her mentor, Justice Antonin Scalia. This is ABC News. Facebook has just announced that it will ban posts that deny the Holocaust, and people who do searches for that will be directed to authoritative sources. Ahead of the holiday travel period, airlines and airports are looking at ways to make it easier and safer for people to fly. ABC News transportation correspondent Gio Benitez says
airports and airlines hope testing could get more people in the air. But now the big question, which tests should we be using? Experts say the gold standard is the PCR, or polymerase chain reaction test. It looks at the genetic material of the virus, making it highly accurate but more expensive, with longer wait times for results, taking on average 2 to 3 days, assuming there's no backlog.
the NBA crown is back in California. Los Angeles easily won Game 6. LeBron James was named MVP for his fourth time. James is now second only to Michael Jordan, but King James is the first to get the MVP title with 3 different teams. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And now a game of commercial chicken brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
Hi. Guess we should talk about something. How's the vermicelli game in your town? Got any good Vietnamese restaurants? Vermicelli? Oh, it's a noodle. Very good. Drivers who switch to Progressive could save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Pro Extra is the Home Depot's free loyalty program built for pros. Members earn perks just for shopping, like new Pro Extra dollars or tool rental perks. Get exclusive benefits every day that save time and money. And here's an extra, $20 off your next in-store purchase of $200 or more, just for signing up. Want to save? Join Pro Extra, only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Visit the Pro Desk in-store or at homedepot.com/proextra for details.
You're listening to Freedom's Pep Rally on Legacy 1160, where Black voices matter.
History is about learning from it. I don't want to see us become like the Taliban or ISIS. Those are the people that destroy history.
How can you have systemic discrimination in Chicago when the leadership is minority? I know what systemic discrimination is. It does not exist.
If you say all lives matter, which is true, that includes Black lives, ladies and gentlemen, you get fired.
Here's your Pep Rally host, John James.
Good morning. Welcome back. Pep Rally for Freedom is here. Got another hour, almost another hour left. Thank you for joining me. I sure do appreciate your time and your being there. I'm getting into COVID a little bit more here this morning, coming up. I just what they're doing to we're talking about lockdowns and mandates by the government. This is becoming so tyrannical so fast. I still worry about the possibility of a civil war. Nobody wants that. Nobody even wants to entertain that thought. But people are talking about it. People are talking about it because the sick, twisted powers that be just love power and control. If Joe Biden gets elected, I fear we'll be that much closer to a civil war because things are going to get worse, not better. Do you think for a minute that under a Biden administration, first of all, we would not have been as closed off to travel initially under Biden as we were with Trump? Because Biden, after Donald Trump shut down travel from China to the United States, Joe Biden was calling it xenophobic or xenophobic. I'm not sure how you say it. I've heard it both ways. Xenophobic? What? That's an aversion to people from other countries. How is that xenophobic? When you shut down travel from a country where a disease started and is deadly and is coming to our shores unchecked because the WHO at the time said there's no sign that it goes from person to person. No, that's because Dr. Tedros and Xi Jinping wanted that narrative put out there because they wanted to see Americans die. They wanted to see Americans suffer like they were suffering after that virus was released from the lab. Whether it was done maliciously or not, we probably will never know. Maybe someday we will. Doubtful, though. Donald Trump is better. He sounds great. He looks great. He can debate. He could debate this Thursday because he's been cleared. He's not contagious, but the Presidential Debate Commission said no. It's got to be virtual or nothing. And I don't blame Trump doesn't want a virtual debate. Put plexiglass up like they did with Harrison Pence. He's not contagious. They are protecting Joe. Yeah, the debate commission, they're never Trumpers and Democrats, including Olympia Snowe, who is a never Trumper. You know, Donald Trump isn't the first president to fall ill. George Washington actually had a tumor removed from his thigh. They did tumor surgeries back when George Washington was president? I'd like to know. I would like to know what an OR back in Washington's day looked like. What did it look like? I mean, was it, like wooden tables and I've got to see if there are pictures of hospitals back in the day. And what would it have been like to go in for surgery? They probably didn't gown up. They probably didn't wash their hand. They didn't use ivory soap, I'm sure. No scrubbing bubbles. No, George Washington had a tumor removed from his thigh. Woodrow Wilson actually had a stroke in office. And Bill Clinton had numerous bouts with a clap. So, other presidents have fallen ill. But back to the COVID problems going on with the lockdowns and everything. The religious spaces in Borough Park, New York City, the site of protests last week, were not shut down because police don't have the authority to shut them down. So the protests went on. Now, new restrictions temporarily limit the size of religious gatherings in the COVID-19 hotspots. The restrictions limit attendance at all houses of worship. Listen to this. Listen to this stupidity. Listen to this complete idiocy. The restrictions limit attendance at all houses of worship. You've seen some of the huge houses of worship in New York. 25% capacity. But wait. 25% capacity or a maximum of 10 people, whichever is less. So 25% capacity. Is there any house of worship in New York City that holds 40 people or less? Because 10 is 25% of 40. 25% or 10? Whichever is less? Well, okay, 10. I guess it would be 10. Well, apparently, 6 coronavirus clusters have cropped up in Brooklyn, Queens, as well as Broome, Orange, and Rockland counties. The state has closed schools and non-essential businesses in those areas for gatherings, and because they were not obeying the edicts of the governor, Jewish houses of worship have been fined, and I don't have the number here. I thought I had put the number in here. $15,000 for breaking the rules of the number of people you can have gathering. $15,000. Houses of worship have been going broke anyway because of the limitations on the yet you can go out and protest and riot all day long in numbers you can't even imagine. But if you're a church, if you're an evil church or synagogue, forget it. $15,000 you'll be fined. How about that? How about them apples, as my dad would say? And in California, just when you thought it couldn't get more idiotic under Gavin Newsom, Tucker Carlson exposed the hypocrisy, first of all, of people who don't wear masks. Listen to this. You've heard all of the loud talking heads on Capitol Hill, you know, the ones who don't know the Constitution, who don't understand what they're protecting, that said if we don't wear masks, we're going to kill grandma. Everyone needs to wear a mask whenever they're around people, period. So says Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, Chris Cuomo, Virginia Governor Ralph Baby Killer Northam, Maxine Waters. Well, guess who has been videotaped or photographed with people while not wearing masks? If you guessed all of the above, you are a winner. All exposed. All of these people telling you to wear a mask. You've got to wear a mask or you're evil. Because I wear a mask everywhere I go, except they don't. Because they don't have to. They're immune from their own rules. Because they don't spread diseases. They're too good for that. They're better than you, remember? They're better than you. The elitists are better than you. They get to live any way they want to. They don't have to have regard for size limitations of crowds or mask wearing or anything that they call for because they're better than you. And don't you forget it. Because they'll keep reminding you. Happy Columbus Day, by the way. I just want to say that. So anyway, back to the California thing I wanted to tell you about. California Governor Gavin Newsom's office has issued a directive with masking. I found this story in the Post Millennial. Everyone who reads it is scratching their heads in confusion. It says both to not take off your mask and to keep taking off your mask and putting it back on. What? They've even got a graphic that goes along with it. The graphic mentions that people are expected, now you're going out to eat, right? You're going out for a nice night on the town, 6 feet apart from people. You wear a mask into the restaurant, you wear a mask to your table, and then you can take it off and enjoy your meal, right? Wrong. You wear that mask even when you're seated at your table in the restaurant, and you only take it off to take a bite. And then you put it... what a horrible country California is. What a horrible dictatorship California is. That's right. There's a little graphic story that goes along with it. The first image, the diner is shown with a mask on. Then it shows them lowering the mask to take a bite of their food. And in the third and final image, they have the mask back on again. Immediately after, the message tells the public to minimize the number of times you take your mask off. The state of California has started to allow restaurants to open in some counties with limited capacity, and they've been encouraging people to dine al fresco whenever possible, which in Maine is only good up until, about now. I don't know too many people who want to dine al fresco in 30-degree weather, do you? But in California, you keep your mask on unless you're taking a bite. And then the government says you can lower the mask and take a bite and then put the mask back on. Is it any wonder people are leaving California in droves? Just unbelievable to me. It's 11:18 right now. This is Legacy 1160 WSKW. I'm John James. Back after this. Stick around.
1160 WSKW.
Hello, I'm Rick Foss. I'm running for the House of Representatives, District 109 for our city of Waterville. Our legal system is based on due process and presumption of innocence. Recent events have called into question our current representatives' thoughts on that by taking a side without full knowledge of the situation. Real leadership gets us through tough times and situations. I'll bring that and listen to both sides. Let me do the hard work and fight for what's right when you elect me to be your voice in Augusta. This November 3rd, please vote Rick Foss for District 109, House of Representatives. Thank you. I'm Rick Foss, and I paid for and authorized this message.
And Sarah Gideon for Senator. Radio, take one.
As a lifelong Mainer, I make it
Sarah, you were born in Rhode Island, so let's try take two, okay?
I'm Sarah Gideon, and I don't take corporate money.
Sarah, the research team says you did take corporate money, even though you tell us you don't. Let's keep going. Take three.
I'm Sarah Gideon, and on taxes...
Let's not go there. Sarah, you've tried 86 times to raise taxes and fees on everything from healthcare to heating oil to snowmobiles. So let's just move on to take four.
I'm working every day to...
Cut. You sent the legislature home 6 months ago and haven't done anything since then.
They don't need to know that.
Shut it down. Sarah, let's just toss this thing to someone who actually never stops working for Maine.
I'm Susan Collins, candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Collins for Senator.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Center. If your car is a wreck and you don't know where to go, take it to Moody's. You wanna get on with your life, get on with the show, take it to Moody's. Good people you can trust and it won't be a fuss. Take it to Moody's Collision Centers. MOODY. Your kid was talking on the cell phone, drove right through your own home, sitting in the parking lot. Maybe you get hit a lot, driving through the green light. Suddenly your side swipe, put it in reverse, but it turned out that it was first. Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
Hi, my name is Tony Esposito from Rockland Ford, and we want to buy your car. An unexpected situation created by this pandemic is that there is a nationwide shortage of inventory. Now, what does this mean for you? This means that the vehicle you own has never been worth more. In some cases, your vehicle is worth retail book value. I have never seen anything like it. So, if you need some extra cash or a lower payment, there has truly never been a better time to sell or trade your vehicle. If I was a consumer, I would sell high on my trade while buying low and cashing in on 0% interest and manufacturer's rebates. This is not a gimmick. This is real talk. Don't wait. Call us at 594-4466 today for a free purchase offer, or visit us at rocklandford.com.
I'm CBS 13 meteorologist Lexi O'Connor. Cloudy with areas of fog this morning, then developing sun. It will be brightest and warmest away from the coast. Low 70s at the coast, mid 70s to near 80 degrees further inland. Rain moves in tonight into tomorrow. It will also be windy, clearing during the afternoon. Highs in the low 70s, mostly sunny, less humid for Thursday.
Oh, we're back. Okay. All right. I guess I was paying attention there. It's 11:23 right now. I'm John James, Legacy 1160. Whew. Just so much to talk about. So much to talk about. Taking the forefront now in the news will be the Amy Coney Barrett hearings. Democratic Senator rips hearing over COVID safety. GOP stresses duty to fill the high court vacancy. Amen to that. Don't say we aren't honoring Ruth Bader Ginsburg's memory by naming a Supreme Court justice when her dying wish was to wait till after the election. I don't buy that. Richard Blumenthal, there's a piece of work too, says the ACA must not be overturned. Yeah. It all of a sudden it does seem like the left is concerned about the Affordable Care Act more than abortion right now, which is hard to believe. I didn't think anything was more important than a woman's right to kill her baby. Wow. Maybe the Affordable Care Act pays. That's what it is. It pays for women who can't afford to kill their baby to kill their baby. Maybe that's all tied in together. I mean, one's a medical insurance, one's a medical procedure. Arguably a medical procedure. Medical procedures are to make people better, not to kill them. Usually, right? That's usually what, but this sort of takes a different tack altogether. Instead of saving a human life, it ends a human life. So that's arguably not a medical procedure, is it? Watch Unplanned. Watch Unplanned. I don't know if it's still on Netflix or not. It was. But it was a great movie about a progressive woman who worked for Planned Parenthood until she was an office worker. She was, one of the higher ups, one of the executives who ran the joint. But one day they needed her help to perform an abortion. I mean, she didn't do the abortion, but she was in there. She had to, do the, whatever they call it, sonogram or whatever they use to make sure they're getting the whole fetus. And she saw the vacuum inside this woman through the, the whatever type of imaging it was. And she literally saw this tiny person struggle to live. Couldn't. But even in utero had the desire to live. And that was the end of it for her. She was making good money too, I assume. She was working her way up in the organization. It's nice to see somebody when morals trump station in life, isn't it? I don't know how the doctors do this. I call them doctors because I guess technically they are doctors. But that seems, and doctors take the Hippocratic Oath. So it seems to fly in the face of the Hippocratic Oath to end a life, to me. Anyway, Unplanned is the name of the movie. I encourage you to watch it. Whether you're for or against abortion, it might, if you have some compassion and a heart, it might just make you think a little bit, if not completely change your mind. 11:28. The violence continues. Wisconsin, police in Wauwatosa speaking out after 3 consecutive nights of protests and riots. From One American News, according to police, they responded to broken windows at businesses, bricks thrown into windows in homes. That was night 1. Stores in Milwaukee were looted, rocks, bricks, bottles thrown at law enforcement. On night 2, police rescued several stranded civilians who were trapped in their vehicles amid demonstrations. They also responded to an attempted looting in Milwaukee and multiple instances of reckless driving that blocked all lanes of traffic. Authorities also reported at least one rioter who pointed a gun at law enforcement officials. On night 3, police stated demonstrators were seen with Molotov cocktails and other fire-starting supplies. Guns were also spotted in the crowds. More objects thrown at cops. Vandals, reckless drivers continued. The unrest kicked off on Wednesday in response to the officer-involved shooting of 17-year-old Alvin Cole. His mother and 2 sisters were arrested during Thursday night's protests. I'm very upset. I'm disappointed with the outcome, said Tracy Cole. We need justice. This state has been playing with us too long. Critics believe the shooting and law enforcement response to the protests were unjustified. However, police noted they've seen an escalation in force by the protesters. They reiterated their law enforcement response was in reaction to this escalation. When asked whether the protest should have remained peaceful or not, Cole's mother expressed, "It is what it is." It is what it is, she said. They're tired of the system, and they're tired of police brutality. The department even posted a video of an arrest on Saturday, which showed one protester carrying a bottle of lighter fluid after the public claimed all protests were peaceful. Now, why is it all happening? Well, as I said, 17-year-old Alvin Cole, back in February, died in an incident that police reported as acting in self-defense. Milwaukee County Attorney John T. Chisholm wrote in a letter to Wauwatosa Police Chief that there was sufficient evidence showing that Officer Joseph Mensah, who is also black, by the way, believed deadly force was necessary, and that belief was objectively reasonable. But if you're a cop and the perpetrator is black, doesn't matter if the cop's black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. A cop shoots a black person to save his or her life. The cop doesn't have any legs to stand on, according to the protesters. None. None. A cop is out there to protect the public and save the life of himself and others around him or her. But if the perpetrator is black, whether or not they threaten to kill the cop, shooting, killing, using deadly force is never justified, according to the leftist mob. BLM, Antifa. So anyway, this district attorney went on, I do believe the state could disprove self-defense or defense of others in this case, and therefore could not meet the burden required to charge Officer Mensah. With this, I conclude my criminal review of the matter. Now, Kim Motley, who is an attorney for the Cole family, told CNN the family learned about the decision in a meeting with Chisholm on Wednesday. and said the district attorney is not stating Cole's shooting was justified. Why would a police officer just, and it's a black police officer, it wasn't racist, clearly wasn't racist, so what is all the violence about? Why don't both sides get heard? Why aren't they entitled to be heard? Obviously, the kid's side can't be heard. It's a shame he had to die. But he apparently had a gun that was discharged. Just because there's not video of the actual incident doesn't mean the police officer did not protect himself. Why else would a police officer shoot if it wasn't to protect his life? Again, it wasn't racism. The cop was black. That's not the only place riots continue. Portland. Oh, Ted Wheeler's Portland. Looks like he's going to lose the election for mayor. That's the good news. The bad news, the woman who's running against him is a communist. Sunday night, Portland protesters toppled at least 2 historic statues and smashed windows of numerous buildings, including the Oregon Historical Society. The unrest was tied to the Day of Rage on the eve of Columbus Day, the Day of Rage. Well, to these people, every day is a day of rage because their life is lived enraged. That's how they survive. They couldn't survive if they had to bring it down a little bit, if they had to drop it a couple of notches. They couldn't survive. They thrive on anger and rage. Antifa rioters in the process of toppling the Portland statue of Roosevelt using chains. They were soon successful in pulling it down, according to a news report. Now, I'll tell you what I want to see. I want to see those responsible and identified be sentenced to 10 years in jail like Donald Trump promised. I want to see him fulfill that promise. He said he would do that. Apparently, the idiots didn't think about consequences because they were too busy being enraged on the Day of Rage. Let's see if a 10-year lockup will help them cool their jets. 11:36. Our Black Voices Matter series continues. This guy's pretty cool. His name, he goes by MAGA Hulk. Mainstream media responsible for America's divisiveness in a big way as they continue to excoriate the president and throw fire on the race war going on in the country, thanks to the left, who has been egging the activists and rioters on by calling Donald Trump racist, and he's out to get them completely and totally untrue. As part of Black Voices Matter, which is our series, Stephen Davis, who is known as the MAGA Hulk, talked about the media's role. Listen to this now. This is important. The media's role in concert with the progressives in Congress to fuel tension. You see where all the hate, all the rage is coming from? It's coming from the mainstream media and the leftists, socialists in Congress. They're all part of the rage machine. Not Donald Trump. He's not enraged. When have you seen Donald Trump enraged? His outgoing personality and ability to score points with people makes them rage, but he himself, I've not seen him enraged. Here's what Davis, MAGA Hulk, had to say in an interview with Dan Ball over at the One America News Network. Listen.
It's unbelievable. How many times does President Trump have to condemn white supremacy, Nazis, the whole bit? David Duke, the same thing. He has denounced them time and time and time again ad nauseum, and they're constantly putting out this consistent narrative that he has yet to denounce it, that he sides with the white supremacists, that he sides with the Nazis, that he's sympathetic to the white supremacists and neo-Nazis. It is unbelievable. It is gaslighting at the highest order. We understand with our own two eyes and hear with our own two ears what he has said. And what he has said time and time again, he has stood for the American people, has stood for us coming together as a company, as a country, as all races coming together, all nationalities, all creeds. But yet and still, the media is trying to put forth a persistent narrative that President Trump is a vicious racist, and we need to stop listening to the mainstream media, the mainstream leftist media, and start looking with our own two eyes and listening with our own two ears when he denounces white supremacy and Nazis.
He has denounced it over and over and over again. I played you a montage last week of him denouncing it over the years, using words, white supremacy, Ku Klux Klan. He called it the Ku Klux Klan. All of it. But they still demand he say it again. So Kamala Harris, one of the most disingenuous people, one of the biggest phonies I've ever seen. I knew when she was on that stage, trying to be hip and cool, flipping her hair, talking with that nasally sound of hers and that smug attitude of hers, I knew she was trouble. And then I read about her. And now I have some evidence to back up the fact that she is nothing but trouble. And now she's going to be the leader of the free world if Biden's elected, which is what she craves. Willie Brown taught her to love power and helped her create her own in California. And here she is on the verge of maybe being the most powerful person in the world. That's who you're voting for. If you vote for Biden, you're voting for Kamala Harris. And the left media praises her. That should make you cut and run right there. The fact that the left media praises her should make you think, wow, this woman is trouble. Because they only praise people who are all about social justice, social change, a new world order. These are who the left media are in bed with. The results are in from the vice presidential debate last week. In case you haven't heard, of course, mainstream media says Kamala Harris, victor. She won. Even though she refused to answer questions, even though she kept telling Mike Pence, I'm talking. The View had no surprise here, right? Sunny Hostin almost seemed like she had a crush on Harris, saying she represents every woman who has had her ideas stolen or been talked over. Joy Behar paints Pence as a smarmy liar. Here's a bizarre rundown from a couple of very unorthodox women on The View.
Well, according to a post-debate CNN poll, Harris was seen as the winner in a contest that, matched expectations. I think Kamala was clearly the winner. And for me, she was, every woman in America that has been in a meeting or in any venue where you have a man either taking credit for your ideas, or speaking over you and interrupting you over and over and over again. And I think that she showed tremendous grace in a situation like that, because I think she took great care to avoid all the stereotypes that women, and especially women of color, sometimes fall victim to, like the angry black woman trope.
The thing about that Pence, see, it's easy to dismiss Trump's craziness and the way he acts, like calling her a monster. This guy is much more smooth and smarmy in his lying, you know, kind of like a milkshake laced with hydroxychloroquine, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He's different. You don't trust what he's much more dangerous in many ways.
What do you think the cumulative IQ of that pair is? He's a much more smarmy liar. And it was the debate moderator that was the one that did the interrupting. The debate moderator would not let Mike Pence finish. By the way, the debate moderator just wrote the book, Madam Speaker, about Nancy Pelosi. So you know where she stands. When this woman started telling Mike Pence his time was up, he was mid-sentence. You have to let him finish a sentence. Here's an example of an inappropriate stopping point. Listen to this. Listen to her butt in. He's just trying to finish a thought.
They left the strategic national stockpile empty. They left an empty and hollow plan, but we still learned from it. And I think the American people, I'm going to say again, can be proud
Vice President Pence, I'm sorry,
of what we have done. And Senator, please
Thank you, Vice
stop
President
undermining
Pence.
confidence in a vaccine.
Shut up! He's in the middle of a sentence. Shut up! Good Lord. Pence, your time's up. Vice President, Mr. Vice President, your time's just shut up. As Kamala Harris would say, it's a debate. It's okay to lie because it's a debate. She's a witch. I mean, if you're going to tell him his time's up, just say it once, he gets it. But he's not going to stop in the middle of a sentence. I can't tell you how angry these sorts of things make me. And it wasn't done to Kamala. I never heard it done to Kamala. Not once. Coming up, we've got a lot more. Mika was also very upset. Mika Brzezinski, very upset. Talk about that coming up here on Legacy 1160 WSKW. This is Freedom's Pep Rally.
WSKW, AM 1160.
At Central Maine Motors in Waterville, you'll save thousands during Chevy Truck Month. Get ready for the holiday season with a new vehicle from Central Maine Motors Chevrolet Buick. Save $27.75 on a new 2020 Chevy Trax LT all-wheel drive. Now lease sale priced at only $23,380, or lease it for just $199 for 39 months. Find new roads. Save $34.70 on a new 2020 Chevy Equinox LT all-wheel drive. Now only $32,115, or lease it for just $279 for 39 months. And Central Maine Motors has slashed $35.25 off the 2020 Buick Encore GX Select all-wheel drive. Now lease sale priced at only $25,170, or lease it for just $249 for 39 months. Lease payments include tax and title. $2,500 in first payment due at signing. No security deposit required. Extra charge at lease and possible based on vehicle value. Come get your keys at the place with no dock fees. Central Maine Motors Chevrolet Buick, 420 Kennedy Memorial Drive in Waterville. Online at centralmainchevybuick.com.
Millionaire Sarah Gideon's tax hike would increase the price of gas and home heating oil in Maine by 40 cents a gallon. To regular Mainers, that would really hurt. Here's Dawn from Booth Bay.
The last thing I need right now is higher fuel bills. We're having a hard time as it is now. It would affect my family. Certainly would affect my friends because we're not wealthy people. With the economy, it's really bad for a lot of people here. I don't know how I would make it through. Maybe I'll have to close my house up. Sarah Gideon is a millionaire. She doesn't know what it's like to be cold and miserable. I don't feel like she's very sincere in what she says. Sarah Gideon has done nothing at all to help us. Nothing.
Say no to Sarah Gideon. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
Hi, it's Doug and Dan from Generators of Maine in Belgrade.
Are you working from home? Will your children be home doing schoolwork? And you know how important it is to have access to the reliable power source.
That's why you need a Kohler generator from Generators of Maine. Kohler generators deliver reliable power whenever yours goes out, and we're always happy to offer delivery and installation.
Get prepared today for those upcoming power outages with a Kohler generator from Generators of Maine. Stop by our location in Belgrade, visit online at generatorsofmaine.com, and like us on Facebook.
I want to tell you about the incredible items you can find at Townline Antiques, but there's no match for seeing them in person and reliving those wonderful memories for yourself. Now is the perfect time to shop through their great selection of furniture, artwork, classic electronics, sports memorabilia, jewelry, books, glassware, home decor, and so much more. Take home a little something to decorate a room with style, add to your collection, or share a wonderful memory of your past with friends and family. Townline Antiques open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 to 5, Route 201, right on the Winslow Vassalboro Town Line.
Your pep rally for freedom is back, powered by the Gun Shop in Augusta on Coney Circle. Now, here's John James.
Good morning. It's 11:50 right now on Legacy 1160. Sorry, I haven't been checking comments the way I should. I'm trying to follow the SCOTUS hearings going on. This is gonna be very interesting to watch. I can't wait to see how Kamala Harris questions her. That smug, better than anybody attitude that believes all women until the woman happens to be accusing the person who has given you an opportunity to be president. You don't care about people, Kamala Harris. You're just like, you're an opportunist, like Sarah Gideon here is in the state of Maine. Sarah Gideon, who said, well, Susan Collins voted for Donald Trump's tax cuts, which have left more middle-class people paying more. Baloney. What a lying sack of you-know-what potatoes. Most Americans are getting more money in their paychecks. I'm getting more in mine. If you're not getting more in yours, then you ought to check with your employer. Because maybe your employer kept the money for themselves. Just saying. Because I'm middle class. I get a tax cut. She is a Rhode Island politician. If she wants to run Maine like Rhode Island, go back to Rhode Island. Go back to Rhode Island, Sarah Gideon. We don't need your type here moving in and trying to change things to be more like the state you came from. Why'd you come here? Was Rhode Island too many people? Are there too? You didn't have enough power in Rhode Island, probably, right? Because there's more people to put you in your place. I'm not saying I'm not even sure what the population of Rhode Island is, but I know that they've got the big city, they got Providence, and they've got some pretty good population centers in Rhode Island and surrounding states. People look to come to a place where they can breathe fresh air and live life to its fullest, a place where it's the way life should be. But it's not the way I want life. I want life more like where I came from. So I'm going to move to Maine the way life should be, and I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it the way I think it should be. When did she move to Maine from Rhode Island? I'm very territorial, by the way. I don't care if you come in from out of state and you want to move here and you want to enjoy life. I mean, we can use the people. We can use the workers. We can use folks who will make Maine a better place. But don't come in here from another state, a Stalinist state like Rhode Island and all the other New England states pretty much. Don't come in here and try to make Maine into what you think it should be. If you want Maine to be like Rhode Island, why the hell did you leave Rhode Island? For the great job opportunities in Maine? No, I wanted to come be a powerful voice, and you did. You became Speaker of the House of Representatives. But you're lying in your ads. You are lying. There are a couple other lies I found. I've got to make notes, and I'm going to bring them to you, and we'll tell you about some of the other lies Sarah Gideon has pushed upon us as fact in those ads. So her big accomplishment was putting Democrats and Republicans, seating them next to each other. That makes her electable to the U.S. Senate because she brought us together. I got news for you, Sarah. Democrats and Republicans in Maine have always gotten along pretty well together. I mean, putting them together in seats doesn't change things. It just puts them closer to each other. It was merely protocol before, and you changed protocol. Big frickin' deal. If that's a reason you should be elected, because you bring people together. Not really. I don't think you bring people together. You sure as hell didn't when the edict that Czar Mills put down in March. You didn't bother coming together then. You wouldn't even talk to the Republicans. You wouldn't even have a chat with Republicans about what we should be doing during this crisis. No, you left Augusta to go campaign, and you forgot what your job was, didn't you, Sarah Gideon? I'm just tired of hearing the lies. It's all hype. All of it is hype. None of it is true, except she apparently did put the Democrats and Republicans next to each other in seats in the House of Representatives. Go, Sarah. She is an out-of-state millionaire. That what we want running Maine? I don't think so. I think we're pretty safe with a woman who was born and raised in the county and who thinks for herself and not a political party. That's one good thing about tenure in Congress. Some politicians have a will of their own, and when you find one who has a will of their own and morals of their own and makes decisions based on what they think is right rather than what the party tells them is right, I think you hold on to that person. There aren't many like Susan Collins. There really aren't. And say what you will about the fact that she crosses the aisle sometimes. I think that makes her more electable. Do you think Sarah Gideon's going to cross the aisle? She's going to be brown-nosing every Democratic senator in that place. If the Democrats take over the U.S. Senate, who's going to be the majority leader? Chuck Schumer, right? Probably Chuck Schumer. Who do you think's going to be on his coattails if Sarah Gideon's elected? That's all I'm going to say. All right. That's all we got. I'll see you tomorrow. I appreciate your time. I always do. And there'll be more to talk about, much more to talk about. By the way, if you're in Augusta today, you know somebody who is suffering from cancer, breast cancer, or you want to support a great cause, I will be at Charlie's Motor Mall on Western Avenue in Augusta, right near the station here, actually, from 5 to 6. And we're going to be selling, it'll be with the Mix, 107.9 The Mix. I'll be broadcasting on the Mix from 5 to 6. And we'll be selling these beautiful pink breast cancer T-shirts with a Mix logo on front, and our sponsors who are helping us raise money for the cause on the back, including Charlie's Family of Dealerships. So if you're in the area, stop down, see me, buy a shirt, and say hello. Let me know you're listening. And other than that, I will see you tomorrow morning at 9. Mike Violet is here tomorrow morning at 6 to get your day started. Have a great afternoon. I'm John James. This is Freedom's Pep Rally.
If you don't love